Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today I'm going to be looking at Modern Idols from Giovanni Moroni and the one and only Thirdway Industries. This is a Kickstarter deck that's released here in April 2020 after being funded in late 2019. And the deck itself is a look at mythology, but not the classic mythology that you see in a lot of the different Thirdway Industries decks. This one is looking at kind of a imagination of what current day mythology would look like. So the Greeks and the Romans back in their time had gods that ruled over every different important aspect of their lives, from agriculture to hunting, etc. But Giovanni wanted to imagine what it would look like if we had idols or gods that did the same thing today. Who might those gods be? What kind of areas of our lives would they rule? And so that's sort of the premise behind the deck. There's 4 different versions of the deck. These are the standard editions, and it comes in a hope and a fear version. So you've got the idols of hope, and then the ones that rule by way of fear. And those aren't necessarily a positive and negative emotion, as we're going to see here in a minute. And then there are also the 2 limited versions of the deck. It is the endless hope and extreme fear over here on the right. As you can see, some of the differences there. We'll look more closely at the tucks on the limited ones in a second, but we're gonna get started looking at the 2 standard edition decks. All right, so we're gonna start first of all with the Hope version, and here it is. It's a very bright and kind of crazy colored deck. It's just a regular glossy finish without any embossing of any sort, but it's covered with metallic inks and neon inks, a really interesting and vibrant combination, and one that Giovanni first did with the Monolith series. So you've got Modern Idols written in the center, and then just this beautiful line work forming all sorts of different designs, including the eye at the top, a symbol of knowledge, and then you've got this triangle with wings spreading out as well, and then just tons of line work and designs going all the way around on this really deep blue background. On the sides, you've got Modern Idols on one side and Hope Edition on the other. Bottom has your ad copy for Thirdway Industries, mentions this is printed by the USPCC. And then at the top, in the 3 neons plus the silver, you've got the 4 different suits. And the back over here is going to be the back design of the cards. Really bright coloring to it, really interesting combination here, and one that you really don't see with that many different designers in combining those neons and metallics together. As you open it up over here, you've got a little symbol of hope, the mirror with the sun in the middle, flanked by a couple of wings, all done in that really bright neon orange. And then a little sun eye combination icon on the inner flaps here. Nothing at all printed on the interior of the tuck case. So that's the really bright tuck case that you get with the Hope Edition. Jumping into the backs of the cards, and here they are, a lot like what we were just looking at on the tuck case. The card color is still that really deep blue. It's a really interesting color, love that shade. And then it's covered with that same sort of line work with really predominantly that silver ink, but then lots of hits of neons as well. That pure silver ink, hopefully you can see that there, but really glows really nicely. And then that green and pink color just accents it and sets it off really nicely. So you've got the wings around that triangle there. You've got the eye in the center sort of radiating out. And then just little design elements all over the place, from the eyes at the top and the bottom, these pink cubes over here, and then it finishes out with sort of a medium blue poker border, where with the edges kind of broken by bits of the design elements here, most notably sort of those wings poking out there. So really beautiful design. Here's a kind of close-up look. You can see some of those colors, but love that look quite a bit. Really interesting. You do get some extra cards, starting of course with the main 2 jokers. You actually get 3 jokers in this one. So you have here Hope and Fear. This one over here is Hope and what you would call pure hope. So this is the basic representation of Hope over here. She has a mirror, presumably to kind of show us a little bit of ourselves, to kind of reflect our hopes and dreams, and very kind of angelic feel here with the wings and then the halo as well. Very much a Giovanni styled character. He likes to do the females with the kind of low cut and the cleavage showing here, but a really beautiful image here, done with lots of that silver ink. You can see her hair is done in silver ink, as well as parts of the mirror and the border here, but then tons of hits with 3 different colors of the fluorescence, the pink, green, and orange, all in there. You got the starry sky as the background as well. Turning to the other Joker now, we have what he calls defensive fear. So this is the god of fear here, and this is sort of the aspect of fear that is defensive of humans. So he uses fear as a means to help protect humans. A little bit more of a demonic look. He's got the horns to him there, but still does have those wings, and then he's holding a shield. And then over here is another interesting and more vibrant representation of hope, this time holding a crystal ball and with this really crazy hairstyle, all done in that silver ink going on. So those are the 3 Jokers you get, and then you also get a double backer to go with it. Now jumping into the cards themselves and starting with the Ace of Spades, we're really keeping with those line drawings all the way through. Silver inks, pinks and green hits going all the way through. You'll see a little bit of a snake going over here. This one I think is a nod actually to his evils, not his evil, but the Eva deck, as well as the Sins deck, which make really prominent use of the snake in the mythology there. And so that kind of is a little bit of a nod back. That's not going to be the only deck that he makes a nod to throughout this one. But there's your Ace of Spades. The pip and the index are custom and done in that really bright silver metallic ink as well. And then going through the number cards, you've got the custom pips in the center that don't match the ones in the corners, a little bit more of an outline feel to it, and then a border that's done in bright green line work. So there are your number cards, pretty standard orientation otherwise, really nice, easily readable, but still very interesting number cards. And then you get to what is always the highlight of Giovanni Moroni decks, and that is the courts. So as you go through, these are each going to feature one of the different idols. So the spades are all going to represent idols of enhancement, looking for ways that we can enhance ourselves. And the first one is the idol of silence. You can see those beautiful silver metallic inks on the tattoo, as well as the hair. Lots of fluorescent symbols going on all the way through. But you can see he's in a very serene state with the headphones on. He's got, don't know what kind of animal that is, maybe a dog curled up with him, and just sort of in this contemplative silence there. There's the Jack of Spades. The Queen of Spades represents wellness. So obviously she's working out with the barbell in one hand. A gazelle, I don't know, maybe that's a symbol of running or something like that. That's her little pet here. And then you've got the kind of muscled arm there in the back, but really cool look to it. Love that bright green hair too. The King of Spades represents curiosity. Here's another one of the nods to one of his decks. His pet over here actually is one that you'll see in the Delirium series. So pretty prominent there with that little green duck guy. But you've got a spaceman here with the rockets and planets in the background, but really cool look to that one. Lots of use of that metallic silver there. Jumping into the diamonds, so here are those. Now he's switched out that silver ink for fluorescent orange, and now the border is done in that silver ink. Really cool combo. And these, the idols that we see here are going to be representative of materialism. So this is going to be a much more materialistic look, starting of course with the idol of money. You can see just with the piles of coins all over the place, and cash, as well as the Neko cat there represented as his pet, a symbol of good fortune and wealth in some cultures. Really cool look on that one. The Queen of Diamonds is media. So looking at the consumption of media, you've got the TV screens here, the really happy, perky look to her, and just all sorts of bright, vibrant colors around again. And then the King of Diamonds is the god of show, whether that's movies or sports or TV shows. So you've got a little Godzilla here as his pet, a soccer ball, a little clapperboard for movies. He's got those cool sunglasses on. So that's the god of show. All right, now we're going to turn to the clubs, and now we're going to look at the idols of the world. So ways that idols help us connect out to the world, starting with the King of Clubs, God of Connection. You might think of this as kind of social media. So you've got emojis and iPads sitting here, and they're all connecting with each other, and then with his faithful dog as his pet there. The Queen of Clubs is the idol of science. Very clear on this one. You see the lady with the lab coat. This is probably my favorite out of all of the idols in the whole thing, where she's got the test tubes, and then not sure what that is, a syringe or something as her pet. Interesting feel. But this one's probably my favorite. I love the atom symbol there on her shield as well. And then the Jack of Clubs is art. So representing specifically drawing, art, music, any sort of art that people may produce. So you've got the guitar here, obviously really prominently, as well as the pencil kind of sketching out a tattoo on his chest there with the little monkey. And then here are your clubs, another color change. Now we're all neon, so neon green for the pips and then pink for the border. Very bright combo in that one. And then into the ace. And then we're going to finish out with the hearts. And these are the idols of individualism, starting with the King of Hearts. This is the idol of dreams. So representing hopes and dreams, a very kind of hopeful looking image here, but then also kind of representing the dark side of dreams and how pursuit of those dreams can cause you to have to make sacrifices along the way. So fitting for that to be the little demon sitting here, as well as the suicidal king represented. And fun fact, this image right here, this is actually inspired by Giovanni Moroni himself. So that's himself put in as one of the court cards. If you see a picture of him, it's a bit what he looks like. And then the Queen of Hearts. Now we're looking at the idol of romance. So the little Cupid monster there as her pet, and then beautiful bright pink hair flowing around. And then the Jack of Hearts is legacy. So looking at ways that we can expand ourselves through our legacy. And so you've got the father with his son there. So now that instead of a pet, he has this kid there. So another really prominent way that we can look to expand ourselves and our influence. All right, one more color change, pink pips with the orange border here for the hearts, and finishing out with the Ace of Hearts. So that is the cards of the Hope Edition, but we are not done yet. Let's go to the Fear Edition. And the Fear Edition is going to be a completely redone set of quartz. Now, a lot of the same design elements here, but the silver ink has been replaced, and this one's done in all neons. So otherwise, it's really the same design as before, but now instead of those silvers, you have a third color of neon with the orange coming in here. So you've got the orange, pink, and green all represented. Otherwise, really the same design, with the exception, of course, it says Fear Edition here on this side. As you open up the tuck, you are going to get a little bit of an image here. This is the shield or the crest of the fear, the idol of fear. So that really kind of scary shield there, flanked with the wings. And then you have the eyes representing knowledge on the inside. The tuck itself has been replaced now with this kind of bright purple color. Really interesting. The only other deck I've seen that used this purple so prominently is the Pantheon deck. Maybe a little darker shade on that one, but the Pantheon deck also from Thirdway Industries really used a similar color. All right, now jumping into the cards, start with the card back real quick. Here it is, same design, but now no metallic ink, all just 3 colors of neon ink on those. And then the jokers have also been changed out. So here's pure fear with that really kind of scary, intimidating shield there. And then a really interesting card. This is a little bit more the negative side of hope. This is Betrayer Hope. Really interesting in looking at how kind of pursuit of hope can ultimately turn bad, can consume you, can shatter your dreams, represented by that shattered mirror there. And now instead of the halo, she has the horn sticking up. So interesting look there. Into another representation of fear, and this one's really interesting, really kind of darker feel to it, but fear with the hourglass, I guess representing how time can run out, and kind of another thing that can kind of create that sense of fear. And he's got the hood pulled up, giving him a much darker aspect to him. And then you've got complete with the skull there around his clasp. So very cool. Now jumping into the cards themselves, you get a good look at that bright purple background. I love that look. And then of course the hits of neon all over. Now there is some silver that's used on this one. This one, the pip and the index is all done in silver, at least on the spades. And go through the number cards, a lot of the same. Of course, you get those really bright colors. And then into the quartz. And like I said, this is going to be a completely changed out set of quartz. Now, the spades are still going to represent the idols of enhancement, starting with the idol of technology. And this cyborg look here, very, very cool. He has a little robot pet and looking very strong with the cyborg look going here. Very heavy use of the silver metallics. So kind of a darker side of technology, I guess you'd say. Over here, this is an interesting one. This is Abnegation, the idol of abnegation, the idol of giving things up in order to better yourselves. So you have really heavy use of the chains here around this beautiful hooded figure. The chains representing, things that you restrict yourself from. And then you have this dove over here, a little bit of a peaceful symbol there. Lots of X's around as kind of restrictive or things that you're giving up. So another really interesting idol there. And then the king of spades now is knowledge. And this is sort of the father of all enhancement. This one's meant to look a little bit like Odin, and that's an intentional thing here. So you've got the single eye Odin, and then he also has a pet raven, which is something that Odin had as well. But he's got the book there in his hand and just sort of representing knowledge. Into the diamonds, now like the other one, color change on this one, the silver border with the orange pips and indices. And then into the next set of idols. So remember here that with the diamonds, we're looking at materialism, starting with the idol of games. Really interesting one. So you can see he's got the PlayStation controller there. You got these sort of stereotypically, 8-bit video game characters in the back, almost like a little Pac-Man here, a little reminiscent of Space Invaders over here as well. And then he's got the Oculus headset on. And looks like he's got a partner there as his quote-unquote pet. With the woman there with the light gun in her hand. That's a fun one. The Queen of Diamonds is the idol of consumerism. So consumerism in all of its forms, whether that be food, drugs, you've got the pills over here, money, whatever it is that you're consuming in excess. This is the idol that represents that. And you've got an alligator there with a wide open mouth as the pet. And then the king of diamonds is the idol of work. So the ways that we can kind of let work consume our lives in a pursuit to get money. He's got the briefcase with the cell phone there, and then the shark as his pet. Now turning to the clubs, which if you remember are the idols of the world. And we're going to start with the idol of ideologies. So this is sort of political or state ideologies. You've got the eagle very prominent there. This design, not the color scheme, but the design is very reminiscent to me of the Order deck. It's a little bit of a darker side of ideology and kind of rule through fear. So very interesting and strong figure there, almost an authoritarian looking figure. The Queen of Clubs now is the idol of ecology. So green and protection of the earth. All sorts of interesting symbols here. You got the panda as the pet, an endangered animal there. You got the thermometer for global warming, and then really heavy use of green and leaves flowing all over the place to give it a little bit of a natural feel to it. Really like this one a lot. This is another one of my favorites. And then the Jack of Clubs is vengeance. So the ways that we can let vengeance rule us. You've got the wolf over here. He's even got the cut in his chest dripping out. Maybe that's the wound that's caused him to seek vengeance. And then the sword really menacing in his hand there. All right, here are the number cards, pink and green now the color scheme of choice on these. And then into the hearts. We're in the home stretch here. So here's the last set. And the hearts, of course, represent individualism, starting with the King of Hearts, conformism, looking for ways we can be like everybody else. So you've got the iPad here. He's got a selfie stick in his hands. Interesting look, but ways that we can kind of look introspective in ourselves. And then the sheep here, really nice representative animal for following the pack. There's an interesting one. And then the Queen of Hearts. The Queen of Hearts is hedonism. So hedonism is just sort of allowing the pleasures of the world to rule us. This one's really heavily inspired by Eve from the Eva deck, both in the design, but also in some of the elements around her. Her pet is that snake, which is used heavily in the Sins and Eva deck to represent the temptation that comes with following the worldly pleasures. And so a fitting pet to use here is that snake's whispering in her ear. And of course, you'll see a little bit of the R-rated look there with the chest showing a little bit on this one. And then last but not least is the Jack of Hearts, and the Jack of Hearts is vanity. So very much looking at yourself. The peacock is a very fitting animal on this one, and a guy who's a little bit full of himself. And then finishing out with the pink and orange colors for the heart number cards. And there's the Ace of Hearts, and there's your double backer. That's it. That is the look at the cards. Hope you enjoyed that. What do I think of the deck overall? Well, like most Giovanni decks, this is really mostly intended to be an art deck. There's a ton to pour over. I'm 20 minutes into this video, just looking at details of the deck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this a little bit of a longer video today. That's really, that art side of the deck is really where it's going to be at. I mean, you could use this for gameplay. It's not an unusable deck for gameplay. I suppose you could use it for cardistry. Those bright colors would really pop. Not so much for Magic, definitely distracting for that, but really, like all of his decks, it's going to be an art deck. Now, I did say I was going to take a quick look at the limited tucks, and we'll take a quick look at those. And on both of these tucks, it makes really heavy use of foils. So all of those neon lines are gone, and we've now replaced it with completely foil design. You do have the Hope and Fear idols now represented in that really beautiful holographic foil at the bottom. And then you've got lines going all the way through that are gold foil on the Hope deck and copper foil on the Fear deck. And then turning all the way around, you'll see that continues to the back design, etc. Cards inside are the same, that's why I haven't opened these up, but you will see that these are limited. They've got the numbered seal here, so I've got 748 and 638 here on that silver tuck seal. So there's the two limited decks. So that's it. That closes the book on another fantastic deck from Giovanni Moroni. This one's definitely a departure from some of his really super highly detailed and serious looks at ancient mythology, but to me, a really welcome one. I love the bright colors. I think he did a really nice job with this one. Tucks are interesting. This is just one that's absolutely going to stand out in my collection. So, hope you enjoyed that too. This has been the Modern Idols decks from Thirdway Industries. These are available on his site now. There's some good sales if you want to pick one up for yourself. I'll put a link down in the description where you can check out some of those deals. But remember to subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see in the future, and I'll see you for the next one.